Hey boys, it's HarmNone. Today I'm going to be going over my favorite recent customizations that I have done on the channel. I figured I would do something like this because I think that it's a nice way to highlight some of the favorite customizations that I've done versus some of the customizations that maybe I haven't liked quite so much. So anyway guys, we're going to go ahead and jump into this, starting off with number 10. Starting off at number 10, we have the Enos Deity. Now, this thing was on sale last week, so I figured that I would customize it because I haven't done a customization of the Deity for quite some time. So anyways, this is what I came up with. It's a frost white with a red interior with bronze rims with carbon accents pretty much everywhere that I could put them. I really like the look of this car. I'm super happy with how it turned out. I put this one at number 10 because it's not exactly my favorite car ever, and it's also a very recent customization. I just did this one last week, so it hasn't been out on my channel for very long, so there's actually a pretty good chance most of you have seen this one. So I didn't want to include this, a little bit higher in the list because, if you guys have already seen this, then you probably know that I did kind of like this customization. The Deity is a super fun car. It's pretty nice to drive. It's a 4-seater. It has Imani tech, and it has the front-mounted machine guns and armor that you can put on it and everything. So that is pretty cool. Overall, I feel like it's definitely a very nice, luxurious vehicle. Anyway, guys, that is pretty much it for the Enos Deity. At number 10, let's move on to number 9. Next up at number 9, we have the Jester Classic coming in at $800,000. This is obviously the Toyota Supra. This thing was updated with the release of the Criminal Enterprises DLC into Grand Theft Auto Online. They fixed this car's major problem, which was the engine resistance. I'm sure many of you will know about that, and those of you who don't, it basically just makes the car way slower than it should be. Don't get me wrong, the car still does suffer from that, but it is much better than it once was. The Jester Classic has a ton of customization. For my customization on this thing, I went for an olive green with bronze rims. I think that combo for colors looks really good. I also went for the black Jester livery on the sides of it. It's a pretty understated livery, which I do like. Overall, I think that this car looks really great. It's got some good customization, and it's a fun car to drive, especially now that it's just a little tiny bit faster. I feel like the car is a lot better than it once was, for sure. So guys, that's pretty much it for the Jester Classic at number 9. Let's move on to number 8. Next up, we have the Uberbocht Rebla GTS coming in at $1.2 million. This is a customization that I am super happy with. I've gone for an all black build on this thing with carbon accents, and I think that this thing looks completely disgusting. It looks so mean. I think that this is truly one of the best looking cars in GTA at the best of times, and when you black it all the way out like I've done, I think that this thing just, I don't know, you just look like a mafia member. You feel like a mafia member when you're driving this thing. It's just such an awesome car. I really do like this thing a lot. The Rebla GTS is about $1.2 million, and for that price you do get one of the top 5 fastest SUVs in Grand Theft Auto Online, as well as a very customizable SUV as well. So that is super nice. The Rebla GTS sounds good, it handles well, and it accelerates well. Like I said, has lots of customization, and just overall is a very good vehicle in my opinion. So there you have it guys, that's it for number 8. Let's move on to number 7. Next up we have the Anis 300R. Now at the time of recording this video, this vehicle has been taken back out of the game from the Los Santos Drug Wars DLC, which is very unfortunate. However, if this thing was still in the game, it goes for about $2.1 million. It will be re-released into the game at a later date. Rockstar hasn't exactly specified when that will be, but it will be coming back. So if you don't have one of these, if you weren't able to pick one up, rest assured you will be able to get one in the future. The 300R is an Imani tech capable vehicle like the Enos Deity, so you can put armor upgrades on this thing and an oil slick proximity mine dropper. However, that's about it. There's nothing else that you can do to this thing. No front mounted machine guns or anything like that, so that is a little bit unfortunate, but regardless, it still is a pretty nice car. It's in the sports category and it's decently fast. It's definitely not going to win you any races, I don't think, but it is a very fun car to have in free mode. It has lots of customization. This one that I'm driving right now is from my customization battle that I did with Twingo and NPC. Make sure you guys go and check out both of their channels. I'm super happy with this build. I've gone for a lime green with a black secondary, and I've pretty much accented every other option on the car in the secondary color. I think that this thing looks great. I'm super happy with the build. Definitely one of the ones that I'm most proud of my customization battle series with my friends there. This one actually won me the last customization battle, so I do really like this car. So I plan on keeping this one for quite some time. Anyway, guys, that's it for number 7. Let's move on to number 6. Next up, we have the Fister Growler. Now, this Fister Growler goes for about $1.2 million if you have the trade price, up to $1.6 million if you do not have the trade price. It was, of course, released with the Los Santos Tuners DLC, meaning that this car has tons of customization that can be done to it. As you guys can see, I've gone for a pretty crazy build with this car. I wanted to replicate the Porsche Cayman GT4 RS with this build, and I think that I did a pretty good job. I'm very happy with how this thing has turned out. I've gone for, I believe it's a black steel or a bluish silver, somewhere in there, one of those colors on this car. And then I've gone for pretty much every other racing option that I could think of for this vehicle to try to get it to look the exact way that I wanted it to. Now, unfortunately, the Fister Growler doesn't exactly have the best performance ever. It is still a pretty fun car to drive. However, the back end of this car kind of likes to spin out on you, but it's not too terrible. It's just when you go around really sharp corners and usually when you're under throttle. So, you know, you can avoid the poor handling depending on what you do with the car. But generally, I feel like it is actually a pretty decent car for free mode, at least. Definitely not going to win you any races, unless, of course, you're racing in the tuners subcategory. Then the Growler might actually be able to win you some races because it is one of the faster cars from the Tuners DLC, which is included in that Tuners subcategory of the sports class. So that is kind of cool. Overall, the Growler is definitely a very cool vehicle to have. It's got lots of customization, decent performance, and I think that it looks absolutely fantastic. So that's pretty much it for the Fister Growler at number 6. Let's move on to number 5. Next up, we have the Overflowed Entity Mt. This is one of my customizations that I really like. It is a little bit on the basic side, but I am very happy with how it has turned out with this car. I think that this car's design allows for, you know, accenting a lot with the black and the yellow. I think that it looks really good. The Entity Mt goes for just under $2.4 million, so it is a little bit on the expensive side, and unfortunately, it is another car that suffers from engine resistance, similar to the Jester Classic that we went over a little bit earlier. However, if you guys are playing on the expanded and enhanced edition, you can get the HSW upgrade for the Overflowed Entity Mt, which will make it quite a lot faster than the regular version of the car that we have on PC, Xbox One, and PlayStation 4. Even on PC, Xbox One, and PlayStation 4, I feel like the car is pretty good with its engine resistance. It kind of deals with it, you know, decently well, I would say. The top speed is not super heavily affected, I would say. It definitely is, but just not as much as it maybe could be. The acceleration is still decent, and the handling is very good. It's very hard to get this car to spin out. That is my one big compliment that I gotta give to the Overflowed Entity Mt. This thing handles very well. For my build on this thing, obviously I went with a race yellow and a black secondary, I believe, as well as the black racing stripes. I think that it looks really good. I'm very happy with how this car has turned out. Definitely a car that I would recommend looking into if you guys are interested in getting a new supercar. So that's pretty much it for number 5. Let's move on to number 4. Next up, we have the Pegassi Toros, coming in at just under $500,000, $498,000 to be exact. This is one of the most bargain cars in Grand Theft Auto Online, especially for performance. The best bang for your buck in the entire game as far as I'm concerned. The Toros is, of course, an SUV that is based off of the Lamborghini Urus in real life. I think that Rockstar did a pretty good job with making the vehicle look semi-realistic. Obviously, it doesn't look exactly like a Urus. There's a few things, especially that marking on the side of the vehicle, that really does not look like a Urus. But anyways, this thing has lots of customization and it is very fast. This is regarded as the fastest SUV in Grand Theft Auto Online on PC, Xbox One, and PlayStation 4. And on the expanded and enhanced edition of GTA, this is regarded as tied for first with the Fister Astron Custom. It and the Astron Custom with the HSW upgrade are about the same speed around a track, which is insane. The Toros has one of the highest top speeds for an SUV in all of Grand Theft Auto Online. I believe it's about 126 miles per hour, which is pretty quick. It also handles quite well, and it definitely accelerates well. It is all-wheel drive. It is a super good car. For my build on this thing, I decided to go for a full blackout build, similar to the Rebel GTS. The only thing that really made me mad about this build is that stupid little side skirt piece that is the little gray color there. I'm not a big fan of that, but unfortunately there's nothing you can do to change it. So I just kind of had to deal with it. But anyway, guys, that's pretty much it for the Tauros. I absolutely love this car. I have 2 of them. It is certainly one that you guys should go ahead and pick up if you guys have some extra money lying around, especially if you want to do SUV races, because this thing will make sure that you pretty much have the best chance of winning those. So that's it for the Tauros at number 4. Let's move on to number 3. Next up, we have the Benefactor Schlagen GT coming in at number 3 for $1.3 million. Now, this is available on Legendary Motorsport, and it is a car that has a pretty good amount of customization. I decided to go for a build like this after seeing my friend NPC's Schlagen GT in a video of his pretty recently, and I absolutely love the look, especially with this livery. The white with this livery looks absolutely insane, and with the carbon hood, it actually looks really good. I typically absolutely hate carbon hoods on cars, but for this thing, I think that it works very, very well. The Schlagen GT is one of the most fun cars to drive in Grand Theft Auto Online. You're able to double clutch this car. I know that that's not actually what it is, but that's what people refer to it as in GTA, where you kind of spam the handbrake and then you can force a car to drift really well and kind of do a power slide. Works really well with the Schlagen GT. You can kind of drift this thing super easily. It makes a very good sound. It has lots of customization, and for $1.3 million, I think that this is truly one of the best cars that you can buy at that price point. It is in the sports category. It's somewhere in the high 10s or low 20s as far as lap time goes. So it is a pretty quick car, but mostly this is going to be a car for free mode. And for free mode, it is definitely a car that I recommend. This thing is an absolute blast to drive. It kind of reminds me of the Gauntlet Hellfire, if the Gauntlet Hellfire could handle a little bit better. So do with that information what you will, but that is it for the Schlagen GT at number 3. Let's move on to number 2. Next up, we have the Bravado Buffalo STX. This customization has come from my newest customization battle with Twingo and NPC. This is the build that I went for with my new crew color. It's sort of a minty green type of color. At least I think that it is. I'm colorblind, so I honestly don't really know, but I think that that's what it is. I'm really, really happy with how this build has turned out. I went for the crew color as the primary and a secondary that is metallic black, just to kind of accent the car nicely. I think that this thing looks absolutely fantastic. I love how this car has turned out. I think that it looks really, really great. The STX goes for $1.6 million, up to about $2 million if you do not have the trade price unlocked. So this car is a little bit on the expensive side. However, it is a very good car for a few reasons. This is yet another vehicle that has Imani tech capabilities, meaning that you can put armor on this thing as well as a missile lock-on jammer or a remote control device. So it does have quite a few little utility options, which is very, very nice. On top of this, the Bravado Buffalo STX is also regarded as the fastest car within the muscle car category in GTA. So for racing, it doesn't really get much better than the STX. This thing is really as good as it gets. It is absolutely fantastic, by the way. I've done several races with the STX and I have yet to lose, I think. So it's a pretty quick muscle car. I really like this car. The handling is definitely what helps it to be so dominant in the muscle car class, because it does just handle like, you know, really like a great sports car. So, you know, that's high praise for this thing. It really does feel great, and it's got some customization options too. And with those Imani tech options as well, you can drive this thing around in free mode and feel relatively safe, because you're not going to get locked onto so long as you have the missile lock-on jammer on your car. So overall, it's a very, very good car. I'm sure you guys probably already know about the STX, but for those of you who didn't, this thing is absolutely great. So that's pretty much it for the Bravado Buffalo STX at number 2. It's time to move on to my number 1 favorite customization that I've done recently. And at number 1, we have the Obey Tailgater S, coming in at about $1.1 million if you have the trade price. The Tailgater S is my favorite car that I've customized recently in Grand Theft Auto Online. I've gone for a full race car build with this thing, and I think that it looks absolutely awesome. The Tailgater S is a rear-wheel drive 4-door sports car in Grand Theft Auto Online that came out with the Tuners DLC, so of course this thing is also included in that Tuners subcategory that I mentioned when I was talking about the Fister Growler. So you can race this thing against the Fister Growler in those Tuners races. I've gone for a full GT4 or GT3 build with this car. It was heavily inspired by the Audi RS3 racing car. I believe from 2018. So it's a very, very cool car. I really, really like how this customization turned out. I went with the Fukaru livery, as you guys can see, as well as pretty much every other carbon option that I could pick for this thing, just to try to make it, you know, as light as possible, even though the carbon fiber I don't think actually does anything to the weight of cars in GTA, unfortunately. But I think that this car looks absolutely awesome. It is a pleasure to drive. It handles really, really nicely, especially for a four-door, you know, rear-wheel drive sports car. This thing handles absolutely phenomenally. It doesn't, you know, oversteer or understeer at all. It's just a fantastic handling car in GTA. I really, really like this thing. It's definitely my favorite customization that I've done recently. It's one that I will be keeping for probably the rest of the time that I play GTA 5. So, you know, at least another 20 years before GTA 6 comes out. So we're going to have this one for a while. Anyway, guys, there you have it. That has been it for my top 10 favorite recent customizations that I've done in Grand Theft Auto Online. If you guys enjoyed this video, a like is of course appreciated, if not dislike. Subscribe to my channel if you guys are new, and I will see you all in the next video. Until then, take care. Peace.